Hi friends, in the last video we talked about the history of artificial intelligence, how the idea started many years ago and how it has grown over time. But today I want to answer a very important but also fundamental questions, and that is where an AI model is taking its intelligence from. So the answer is something we hear every day, and people say that data is helping an AI model to be intelligent, or data is important in the era of artificial intelligence. But now the question is what exactly data is and how data is helping an AI model to be intelligent. So in general term, data is nothing but information. So let me give you an example. When you open your Facebook profile and you want to post something, or you want to leave a comment, you leave a reaction, you send a message, you're just producing data on the internet and specifically on Facebook server. So data generally are divided into two categories. They are structured data. So an example could be an Excel sheet with a lot of data rows and columns that data scientists call them feature and also data point. Each column is called a feature and each row is called a data point. A video of me that you're watching right now is considered to be an unstructured data. And there's also another category called semi-structured data, like a CSV file, for example. It could be considered as a semi-structured data. So now the next question is how data is helping an AI model to be intelligent. So for that, let me just give you an analogy so that you can sort of get that knowledge from that analogy and apply it to an AI model. So for example, let's consider a kid that is 10 months old and a kid that is 10 years old. So a kid that is 10 months old might not have a lot of information about his surrounding. Maybe he's not even able to know most of his relatives, or even his relatives at all, or maybe he has not yet have an idea that what his favorite food is, in contrast to a 10 years old kid who knows like lots of his relatives, who knows where he can do sport, where he can go and study and all those stuff. So this all happens because a 10 years old kid is having past experience of what happened in his life. So he sort of stretched those experiences from the past, and he is applying this knowledge that he has learned from the past to a new sample that he is seeing. And it's a knowledge that helps us to understand how an AI model is getting experience from data. So let me give you an example. For example, if you write a prompt to ChatGPT, one of the very famous example of generative AI nowadays, if you write a prompt in ask the ChatGPT to compose you an email, what happens is that the knowledge of ChatGPT is not something that would be injected by God to it, or it's not something that ChatGPT do a magic underhood. It's just because ChatGPT's underlying model, which are GPTs, have been trained on a lot of data. I could see on all the data available on the internet, the text data, that when the model is seeing your prompt or analyzing your prompt, it simply go to the knowledge that it has learned from the past experience and from the past data that the model was trained on, and it's simply generating an output. So except that GPT is not a predictive model, that is a generative model that we'll be discussing about that in the future. I'll be also recording videos on what are the difference between predictive and generative model, so we'll be understanding more in the future. But the main point here is the knowledge of an AI model is simply coming from the data that it was trained on. So if you remember, I also discussed about something called training in my previous video, that there will be a lot of data collected by data scientists or data engineers. They will clean the data, they will prepare the data to be used for the training purpose of that specific AI model, and then they will feed that data to the AI model, An AI model will understand the underlying pattern in that data, so that if a sample is coming in the future to the AI model for predictions or generation, they will just try to use the experience or the knowledge that it has learned from the past data that it was trained on. So notice that the data is really giving you a lot of power, just like gold or other treasures or land did give it to the elder days kings and queen. So a lot of these kings and queen had a lot of power because they had a lot of scale. They had a lot of money, they had a lot of land. So same way, when we look at the companies nowadays, for example, Facebook or Amazon or Google, they have got a lot of power with the help of the consumer data they have collected from their customer. And if, for example, any of this company are willing to build an AI model with the help of the data that they have, they will definitely make the best model that they could, because they have the foundations, they have the all the hardware that they need, and at the same time, the most important thing that they have is the data that they will train their AI model on it. So as a final thought, what I would tell you is that in the AI era, data is not just information, it is the key that unlock intelligence. Know that it's really an important point that data is now somehow linked to the intelligence of the model that companies are producing. So the future is definitely belongs to those who understand and use data wisely. So at the end of this video, I'm just trying to give you a simple analogy that the game that's happening in today's world between the different companies that they're producing the large language model. So why there is not even a single company that could compete with OpenAI? It's not because of the algorithm that they have. It's not because of the servers that they have. It's only because of the data that they have trained their model on. And I'm sure every other company would have the same infrastructure that they have in terms of hardware, and they will also catch up with the algorithm as well. But the only thing that they are not able to catch up is how they collected their data and how they processed their data and how well they made their model to capture the underlying pattern of the data that they trained their model on. So in the next video, we'll be talking about how an AI model will learn from data, and we'll be talking about the two important approaches of machine learning and deep learning. And we're going to talk about the history of machine learning, how machine learning changed the entire journey of AI. I think it was at mid-90s, 1990, I think it was 1997 that Yann LeCun came with that idea of training the CNN, the convolutional neural networks, with the help of a lot of data of hundreds and digits, and that was really a turning point for the history of AI. So I'll be seeing you in the next video, and I'll be also coming with more interesting topic, and will help you in this journey of learning AI. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.